we're going to be having this masterclass on product management. And this is going to be spearheaded by a veteran. His story is really interesting. The writer, the author of a best-selling book called A Packet of Lays, a person who's leading operations at Spinny. And that's not it. It's been 10 years of intense product management experience that we're talking about. So Shailendra Nath Jha is here. And like I said, he's a veteran in the field. He's having 10 years of product management experience. He took the decision of becoming a product manager in 2011 by joining Make My Trip as a product manager. So a lot of you could actually correlate with the story that he's having. And 10 years, 4 companies later, we are having the Vice President Product at Spinny, Shailendra Nath Jha. I'll let you spearhead the entire conversation, and we're really looking forward to the product management masterclass.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you all for joining, because I understand Sunday afternoon and lazy afternoons, and you don't want to be doing much but just sitting on your couch watching Netflix or whatever. But the fact that you have taken out this time to invest 1 hour in understanding something about product management, so I'll try to make it worthwhile. And I assure you that we won't be talking about theory and at all. I very much hate theory, and I'll try to make it more practical and something which you can start using and applying starting tomorrow, starting Monday when you go back to office. And all of you who are already in product management and people who are not in product management will get a sense of what product managers do. And we are going to talk about one of the most important things of what a product management does. But before I begin, let me just ask if there is somebody who knows, if you were to define what is that one task of a product manager, because we do a lot of things. We spearhead product development, we do a lot of research, we do stakeholder management, we communicate about the product, we design, a lot of other things, right? What is that one thing which you associate a product managers with? I see one person, Dishant, is saying the customer's voice. Anybody else? What is that one term or one word or one thing which comes to your mind when you talk about customers, product managers, in fact? Connecting with users and solving their pain points, users, management of all tasks. Is combination of all things, jack of all trades, people management. Yeah, Ajay is saying, all of you are correct. And different people look at it differently. But the way I also describe, and this is the answer which I got, like the first answer which Dishant said, and Gaurav also, in a way, is actually the voice of the customer, right? Because there is, for any other function in the organization, there is somebody designated for that job. But if this is one function which is not represented in any organization, that's the customer. It's not a function at all. And we've all heard of stories around Amazon and other companies where they actually keep a chair in all the meeting rooms. And that chair is supposed to be representing the customer. So whenever you're taking a decision, imagine that Mr. India is sitting on that chair, and he's not visible to you, but he's there because all of us are getting paid by that customer, right? He's only paying us for whatever we are doing. So always keep that in mind. And that is the key central role of what a product manager does. And that is the topic of discussion for today, that, how do we even identify who the customers are? Because we are not the customers ourselves. We may not be the customers ourselves. So who do we actually identify who the customers are, and what are the ways in which you do it? That's the scope of today's discussion. And we'll talk about that itself. So before we deep dive, let me do a quick introduction of myself. That's me. And I'm, as she was saying, I'm heading the product management at Spinny, which is a used car company, one of the 100 unicorns, which nowadays you guys keep hearing about. Did my engineering from NSIT, now NSUT, and MBA from ISP, and worked with a lot of different interesting organizations like Make My Trip Nearby, Magic Bricks, Max Life Insurance, and right now at Spinny. That was the boring LinkedIn style presentation. This is the more Instagramish presentation slide, which talks about who I am, generally, apart from the places I've worked and places I've studied. This is who I am. This diagram actually represents me the best, which is the amalgamation of right brain and left brain, right? And product management, if you look at it, is nothing but that. It's not just your left brain thinking, which is more analytical, numbers, etc., but also your right brain thinking, which is more intuitive, more design oriented, your communication, your empathy towards customer. And that, I think, has been the boon for me, because I seem to have a balance of both. And that works very well for me when I do product management. I'm a writer, as the introduction was, it was said. I have written more than 100 odd poems, published a book recently on Amazon. Those are the lovely ladies in my life, my daughter and my wife. And I'm an avid cricket fan. So, before we move deep dive into what the core of the talk today is going to be about, how do you talk to customers and how do you do customer interviews well, let's take a step back, and I'll try to ask a few questions and try and answer that, and then we will get a sense of why we are interested in this topic. So, raise of hand, and you guys should tell me how many of you are on Instagram. I'm just making notes, so you guys can just raise your hands, and I'll see the number of hands going up. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 16, 17, 18, 20. So I'm assuming roughly 20. So half of the class, roughly. And I'll exclude Ayush and others. So more than half of the class is on Instagram. How many of you are on LinkedIn, by the way? You can lower your hands and then start raising again. First, lower your hands, all of you. So I think some of you were lowering and some of you were raising. So approximately, it touched approximately 25. So I'm assuming more than 30 here are on LinkedIn. In fact, I'll be surprised if there's anybody who is not on LinkedIn. So I'll say maybe 50% were on Instagram and almost around 90% are on LinkedIn. Okay, the third question. How many of you were on TikTok when TikTok was there? And yeah, raise your hands. And you don't have to be ashamed, like nobody's judging you for being on TikTok. You can be candid and raise your hand. I'm not making notes. 2 people. 2. Okay, which is like 5% of this class, not even 5%. 1% actually, or 1 or 2 people were on TikTok when TikTok was there. Okay. I'll tell you where I'm going, by the way. So don't start thinking where I'm going. 2 more questions. How many of you have a prepaid connection? The phone connection which you have is a prepaid connection, not a postpaid connection. The primary number which you are using is on prepaid. It's a healthy number, by the way. I was not expecting again this high, but 25 out of 40. All right. So almost 40% again. No, sorry, 60%. 60% are on prepaid. And the last question. The last question is, how many of you, and I will be surprised if any hand goes up here, but still, I'm not leading you into an answer, but again, how many of you have a phone which costs less than 7,000 rupees? None of the hands has gone up. So 7,000 rupees ke niche, nobody has a phone. How many of you are on iPhone, by the way? A lot of rich people here. 7, 8 people I saw, so roughly 8 upon 40. So around 20% iPhone users. Okay, now I'll come to the main point. I'll give you some stats now. India, when you talk about India, almost all of you were on LinkedIn, and almost 50% of you were on Instagram, and only 2 people or 1 or 2 people were on TikTok. Whereas when we look at India as a market, India has 1.3 billion population, everybody knows. Around half of them, or around 40%, 500 million people are on internet. Out of that, Instagram is used by 70 million, which is 7 crore people, right? 70 million people. LinkedIn is used by 60 million people, 70 million and 60 million. TikTok, by the way, when it was there in 2010, 2020, was used by 200 million people. None of you none of you even know how TikTok works, operates, because none of you are on TikTok, right? All of you are on Instagram or on LinkedIn, which is used by like a fraction of what 500 million people who are on internet use. Out of 500 million, only 70 million and 60 million respectively, whereas roughly half of the population which was on TikTok, none of you were there. 60% of this class of this population is on prepaid, right? At an India level, if you Google, you will find out 95% of Indians are on prepaid. And below less than 7,000 rupee phone, I think none of you were there. 80% of whatever phones are sold in India is less than 7,000 rupees. Where am I leading to with all this data? The point is, whenever we are creating a product, we think, oh, as a user, I would want to have this. Or as a user, this interaction makes a lot of sense. Like, it's very cool. Like, we are all used to reels and stories and stuff, and we know how to scroll, how to open. And that is what is reflected on when we create products, because we start assuming that who we are, we represent the customer. We impose our persona on the customer's persona, who is actually very, very different. Especially if you are working for a company or an organization or a product which is used by the Bharat, is what I say, not by India. India and Bharat are two different concepts. And all of us are Indians in that sense, but we have to understand the real mass. We have to understand who our users are before we start creating our product. That is the whole point I was trying to make here with this exercise. And I hope this point is well understood, that, whenever the next time you start saying, oh, as a user, I think it's very intuitive. The moment you say, I think it's very intuitive, believe me, you may not represent who the customers are, and you may be like a 5% minority or a 10% minority. And the majority actually thinks, behaves. I did not even talk about speaking like Veneto vernacular and others concepts where many people don't even understand vernacular. So many people don't even understand English. So the point is that we don't understand, we don't mimic, or we don't represent who our customers are, but we still have to create products for the customer. We have to be the voice of customers. How can we be the voice of customers when we don't even know who the customers are? And we ourselves are not the customers of the products which we are creating. How do we become one? That is the essence of today's conversation, which is about one wonderful, powerful way is actually immersing with the customer. The customer immersion is what it is called. You understand who these customers are. And one of the wonderful ways and one of the powerful ways is doing customer interviews. And that is the scope of today's discussion. How do you conduct interviews? And I think why talking to customer is important is now I think should be very well clear to all of you that, unless you speak to the customers, unless you spend time with them, unless you understand what is their circumstances, like if you don't even understand what people like, who these people are who are on TikTok, or who these people are who are on prepaid connection, what are the challenges and stress and stuff. If you have a less than 7,000 rupee phone, then you will understand what does a limitation of space mean. You can't have more than X number of apps on your phone because the phone does not even allow you to have those many. It does not have the bandwidth and the space storage capacity, and the phone will slow down. Because if you are having so many apps, and you will start uninstalling those apps which are draining battery. You will start not installing apps which are greater than 10 MB in size. And all these realistic issues will start hitting you when you start understanding who your customers are, which situation and circumstances do they stay in, what is their purchasing power, capacity, etc., etc. What is their socio-economic background, and a lot of these things. Customers are not data points on an Excel, and which we kind of do an extrapolation, create models, and come out with. customers are real human beings like you and me, and we need to understand them. Only then we can create products. A small anecdote, and then we'll move on to the main thing is when Facebook was actually thinking of penetrating into tier 2, tier 3, and trying to understand India better as a market. And I can tell you with confidence because I know one of those product managers who did this, and I know him personally. They actually sent 5 or 7 product managers from US to India and some parts of Middle East to actually spend a month just try and see how Indians use phone, not just Facebook, but use phone. What are the different kind of phones do they use? How do they use it? Do they use it with both hands? Do they use it with single hand? When they're traveling in metro, what are they doing? What is it that they are watching? How are they watching? Do they have earphones or do they don't have earphones? By the way, with earphones, one thing comes to my mind. What percentage of the reels and stories which we watch are watched with audio off? Can you take a guess? You can type on chat. What percentage of the stories or reels are watched with audio switched off? Siddharth is saying 10%. Somnath is saying 50%. 70, 60, 35, 4%. Nilesh? 40, 20, 30, 40. Nilesh, 40. Subradeep is broadly correct. It's almost 85%, 80 to 85%. This is like information which is available in public domain. You can Google and get it. So you have, and why is it that 80% of people are watching? There may be other reasons, like we don't know the reason, but that's the fact. But if you have this information, you know that when you're making reels and stuff, and the professionals who are making reels, they've now started having a lot of texts on these reels because people are not just listening to the video, they're actually watching it, and maybe the place they are watching, they can't switch on the audio. Maybe they do not have earphones, and they're in a public place, and a lot of people are now consuming this information in public places, so they just switch off the audio. So a lot of 80%, and I was actually blown away with this data, but that's true. So coming back to why talking to customers is important, I think is well understood because ultimately you are going to create a product which is going to solve their problems. Unless you understand them, you are not going to create anything worthwhile for them, right? And if you don't understand who these users are, the competition is going to get it before you do, and you're just, the game is over. Now comes the most important question. Now you've understood you have to speak to the customers, but how do I get these customers? And where do I get these customers? How do I go and speak to these customers? Now comes the very practical advice, which you won't find anywhere on internet or Googling, etc. Right? And this I'm telling you from experience. So we actually, when we were working for Make My Trip back in 2012, 13, 14, and we started with mobile. Mobile was the first time use case, and we did not have any data or any information as to why people are using mobile, how people are using mobile, and what are the things which they are going through. We actually hired an agency. So the first thing is, if you have time and money and the commitment from the organization, you hire an agency. The agencies are typically the user insights or usability testing agencies. What they will do is you give them the demographic details. You give them that I want people from, say, 2-3 metros, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, etc. And I want people from a couple of tier 2, tier 3 cities like Ahmedabad, Lucknow, etc., Kochi, and give them the demographic details that these should be of this much of age, like 35 to 50 years or whatever, male or female, or somebody who has a smartphone, somebody who has, I'm talking from a travel context, somebody who has traveled in the last 6 months, has made an online booking on any of these travel apps, and then you invite them over to a discussion. And by the way, you don't tell them that you are from a particular company, right? Because how likely is it that you will give a favorable answer to somebody who actually has created something? So if any of you married here, Harmeet, Chandra, Harmeet, I'm assuming Rashmi. I was actually hoping a male person to raise. Chandra, I'm not clear if it's a male or female. Because my question was around, if suppose there is my wife cooks something, right? And she brings that thing. She is not a cook, by the way, so she does not know cooking that well. But if she cooks something out of love and out of affection, and She brings that to me. And she asked me, Kaisa bana hai? What do you think the answer will be? And not just because she's my wife, but for that matter, anybody, right? If somebody has cooked something or created something with a lot of love and affection and care, you cannot be critical to that person, right? So, and similarly, if I say that this is my product, I'm from Make My Trip, I've worked 6 months to creating this. How do you like this? The likelihood of the person saying it's brilliant, it's wow, you amazed me, is very, very high. Although you might still be thinking, Pata nahi, I don't know how this is useful or how am I going to use it. But you are more likely to get a very, very biased answer out of that. Versus, an unbiased third party asking questions and saying that, between this, which one do you like more? Why do you like more? You are more likely to get more neutral answers and more correct answers. So we do like that. So this company, this organization will organize this maybe in a hotel or a usability lab. And it's like, it's very fascinating, by the way. And when I did it first, I was mind blown. It's almost like that Hollywood movie where you have in this room an interrogator and, the convict or whoever, and the person is having a conversation. So I am suppose that person who is telling the answer, and the interrogator will sit there. There will be two cameras, one facing my face, the other one on the table facing the mobile on which he is operating. And then the interrogator will start asking. By the way, there will be a black wall, like a glass wall on the other side. All team members, like people like me, like product managers, business team, UX, content writers, everybody will be sitting like 7, 8, 10 people with their headphones on, not like blaring sound there. And we are listening to the conversation. We're not just listening to the conversation. We are also looking at the screen where these two cameras are being projected. So we get to see what the users are doing on the phone. At the same time, how are their facial expressions changing? So, and a lot of information you get, because they might say something. They might say that, yeah, it's very easy, but they are confused. And they are saying something, but they're doing something else. A lot of this happens because none of us want to sound stupid, or not stupid, but none of us want to sound as if we don't know how to do this. We all of us pretend that we are all champions and we know everything. So customers are also like that, right? They will not make you believe that they haven't understood, where you need help. But when you're doing this, you as product managers know that the way you would conceptualize something, it is not actually working the way it was supposed to, and they're doing something else, something completely different. So one of the examples I can give you, that when they give them a task, when we actually gave them a task of saying, you have to find out a hotel of your choice at Kalangut Beach in Goa, which should be between 3,000 rupees to 3,500 rupees, and which should be 4-star plus on TripAdvisor. Go ahead and find it. And the way we were expecting was that he will go to Goa, search for the date, and go to the listing, go to filters, apply a 4-star plus filter, and do a price filter saying 3,000, between 3,000 and 4,000, hit enter, and then the set of whatever 5, 7, 10 hotels will appear, and they will make a choice. The way most of the guys were doing were go to Goa, but then don't apply filter, they go to sort. They sort by price and lowest to highest, and the price starts with, say, 800 rupees, and they will keep scrolling 20 times, 800, 850, 900, 900. It will keep scrolling, and then they come to 3,000 rupees. They'll stop. And after 3,000, then the numbers will 3,000, 3,100. And I'm like, but you haven't put the TripAdvisor filter. And what they are doing is actually creating on a piece of paper, they start writing it down, everything. And each of the hotels name with the star rating. A lot of people actually did. And my question was that, do you do this every time? And they're like, yes, we do this like this only. Some of the more sophisticated ones created an Excel and put all the things. So, and we were like, we have created such a wonderful product in which you can just go to filter, apply this, and it'll be boom on your face. But people are not using it like that. They're finding it sorting more convenient. They don't even understand the concept of filter. And the product managers are like going all gaga over filters, this, filters, that. And but people actually on the ground, they don't even understand filters. So in fact, we did not even used to write filter we only had that icon, which looks like a, what do you say, like a filter actually. But people did not even understand that icon. What does that icon mean? And one lesson which I've learned is don't don't take anything for granted that, you just put an icon and people will understand. You have to write in words, what does that mean? And we started writing filters or sort or whatever, like small, so that people who understand, well and good, but there are a lot of people who don't understand. For that, it's best that you actually start writing it down rather than, so between form and factor, right? So form and functionality always precedes form. So if it does not work, it does not matter how beautiful or good looking it is. So that is a full elaborate exercise which happens when you hire an agency and you ask them to conduct this. That is the best solution. However, as we understand, most of the time we might not have time or effort, time or energy or the appetite within the organization. The second best solution is actually you do it at a much lower cost and faster using the internal call center. For example, you have a product in which users come, submit their lead, etc., but they don't convert. You have like thousands of these people who don't convert, right? Only 2, 3, 5% people convert for any funnel. You give these numbers to your call center agent, ask them to call these people and set up an appointment or a thing saying that, our product team would want to talk to you for any feedback, and we'll give you, say, a 5,000 rupee Amazon voucher or whatever. And hoping that, you have a 5-10% conversion rate out of the 100 people you speak to. 50 people will pick up their phone, and 10 people will agree, and 5 people will eventually turn up. So accordingly, depending upon what number do you want, you increase the number of calls. So if you want 20 people, you call 400 people. And then you can do this. However, the disadvantage here are, as I mentioned before, you have to reveal that you are calling from ABC company, because of course you will have to, because otherwise how did you get your number, etc. And second is, so then the bias will obviously be there that, they will know you are from this organization. But obviously it's better than not doing anything. It's not the best solution, but it is obviously there are advantages in terms of doing it faster and not having this big hiring an agency and paying those people. That's the second best solution, which we have also done it time and again. Third solution, which I think we must do for any of the product launch or anything which we release, which is you don't have any money, you don't have any time, which 99% of the times is the truth. What do? You actually start showing it to the people on the floor in the office. Show it to non-product, non-technology people, right? Show it to HR, and nothing against HR. HR people are great, right? My wife is in HR, so, but they don't somehow, they will obviously not understand the product and nitty-gritties of technology as much as the product and technology people will do. Show it to legal, show it to admin, people who understand, have the context, but do not understand. But again, mind it, don't just bump into them, corridor conversation, I have made something, what do you think it is? Not like that. Ask them, do you have 15 minutes? Okay, make them sit down and, then ask that, we have done this. Take them to a context. For example, if you're talking about, if you're working for, say, First Cry, then, take them that, and then if you're working for First Cry, then make sure that you at least talk to people who have kids, not like talk to a 25-year-old male or girl who's not even married. They won't understand. They won't get the context. So at least try to have that basic level of persona mapping done, that, you are asking, if you are working for 99 acres or Magic Bits, you are wanting to talk to somebody who has at least done some bit of research, property research, like fresher who has just joined, who does not even know what does it take for renting a house, or maybe he has, because maybe he's moved to from a different city. So unless that person has a context, if that person has a context, then it's fine. Just prime them that this is what you are. Take them to a situation where you think they should be willing to share this information, and then show them this. And you will start getting a lot of insights. I'm talking about an instance as recent as day before yesterday, which happened on Friday. We're doing something. We created a card kind of a layout on the phone for returning users at Spinny, and we were hoping that people would scroll like this, like how do you do on Reels and stuff, scroll up. But surprisingly, people were trying to scroll horizontally. And we were amazed because I thought the first person does not know Reels or something, and that is why he's not doing it. Second person also tried to do that. Third person also. After 5 or 7, we were very clear that this is not working. So one of my friends and seniors in user research, she told me that, it actually does not take hundreds of interviews to figure out what is actually not working. If something is broken or something is very, very good, you will start seeing this after 3 or 4 interactions only. If you show it to 5 people, they will start telling you. So out of 5 people, 4 people were trying to do horizontal swipe, and we know that this is not working. And the reason we then later on figured out was, when you do reels or stories, you're like full page, right? And you know that it's full page, you have to scroll up. But those were like more like cards, which you are more keen to swiping horizontally, and we didn't change that. And it all happened in half an hour's time, right? We interviewed these people. So that's the best thing. That's the minimum rather, and probably the best, which you should definitely do when you are creating any kind of product. Now comes to actual interaction. So you have got the customers, whether it is by an agency or through the call center or through your friend and family and whatever, and your colleagues. You have got down to the point where you are actually talking to that person. Now, what is it that you should do and what is it that you should not do? I will just play a couple of videos and I won't even say anything, and you will realize what has to be done and what has not to. So I'll just play this video.
Some mistakes that are easy to make and that should be avoided at all costs.
We're doing a survey on the arms race.
The wording of a question can easily influence people's answers. Listen to how the same question can be asked in radically different ways.
The Soviet Union now has a slight edge in nuclear weapons over the United States. Do you support or oppose a freeze on nuclear weapons?
I don't trust the Russians.
So you would oppose a freeze?
Correct.
Thank you very much. The nuclear arsenals of the United States and the Soviet Union contain about 50,000 warheads. Do you support or oppose a freeze on nuclear weapons?
Support.
Thank you. We're doing a survey on marriage. You don't believe it. You don't believe it.
Responses may also be suspect if people think others are listening.
If you had to do it over again, would you marry your spouse?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you would. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, people may voice opinions on subjects about which they know nothing.
We're doing an opinion survey on politics. Do you support or oppose the U.S. aid to the rebels in Eastern Alpha Centauri?
Oppose.
If you've never heard of the Alpha Centauri rebels, don't worry, they don't exist.
Quick question.
Finally, the appearance of the interviewer may influence the response.
Personal preferences and appearance. Do you think you can trust men with mustaches?
Yes.
The moral here is clear. Sampling has to be done carefully, especially when humans are involved.
I especially like the last one where do you trust people with mustaches? And it reminds me of the movie Golmaal, the original Golmaal. But the point is that you get the point, right? I don't have to tell this to you. So no leading questions, and we are invariably, because we are so close to the product and we have built this product, and we tend to at least start asking and leading people to a certain direction. The other way is also true, right? So if there is a certain, like product managers, and because we are so involved in this process, we tend to create questionnaires or ask questions in a way which will support your hypothesis or things, right? And the next video will actually talk about that.
So he's going to say something new and radical in the broadcast.
What, that silly grand design? Bernard, that was precisely what you had to avoid. How did this come about? I shall need a very good explanation.
Well, he's very keen on it.
What's that got to do with it? Things don't happen just because prime ministers are very keen on them. Neville Chamberlain was very keen on peace.
He thinks it's a vote winner.
Ah, that's more serious. Done. What makes him think that?
Well, the party had an opinion poll done. It seems all the voters are in favour of bringing back national service.
We'll have another opinion poll done showing the voters are against bringing back national service.
Well, we can't be for it and
Of
against.
course they can, Bernard. Have you ever been surveyed?
Yes, well, not me, actually, my house. Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, Bernard, you know what happens. Nice young lady comes up to you. Obviously, you want to create a good impression. You don't want to look a fool, do you?
No.
No. So she starts asking you some questions. Mr. Woolley, are you worried about the number of young people without jobs?
Yes.
Are you worried about the rise in crime among teenagers?
Yes.
Do you think there's a lack of discipline in our comprehensive schools?
Yes.
Do you think young people welcome some authority and leadership in their lives?
Yes.
Do you think they respond to a challenge?
Yes.
Would you be in favour of reintroducing national service?
Yes. Oh, well, I suppose I might.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you would, Bernard. After all you've told you can't say no to that. So, they don't mention the first 5 questions, they publish the last one.
Is that really what they do?
Well, not the reputable ones, no, but there aren't many of those. So, alternatively, the young lady can get the opposite result.
How?
Mr. Woolley, are you worried about the danger of war?
Yes.
Are you worried about the growth of armaments?
Yes.
Do you think there's a danger in giving young people guns and teaching them how to kill?
Yes.
Do you think it's wrong to force people to take up arms against their will?
Yes.
Would you oppose the reintroduction of national service?
Yes.
There you are, you see, Bernard. The perfect balanced sample. So, we just commissioned our own survey for the Ministry of Defence. See to it, Bernard.
So you get it right. So the way you ask questions and the way you try and, of course, it doesn't happen like this. This was an exaggeration, but many a times we tend to lead people to a certain thing which we have actually created. In the previous example where I was talking about the filter usage, if suppose I were the product manager, and that in fact happened once I was also interviewing and I was learning how to do it, and the person was not able to do this. And I said, sir, do you see that filter on top? And he said, oh, of course, yeah, I see. And then he started doing it. And I was like, yeah, of course, you have to tell people to see and then they will see. But of course, when they're doing it on their own, on a mobile phone or an app, they of course won't realize it, right? You will not be there in front of everybody to tell them to tap on that. The product has to, and the UX has to speak for itself. And that is where the bias comes in. That is where, questions which are leading sort of comes in. So I think you get a gist of a sense of what not to do. So whenever you are talking to a customer, don't talk about your own solution. You may have a solution in your mind or a prototype. Maybe reserve the last 5 minutes to show them, this is what you've created, this is what is in our mind. What happens is people start approaching customers and then they tell them, okay, sir, we have come up with this solution. Will you be interested? And they'll be like, oh, because they're not paying there. So they, okay, I'll be interested. How much will you pay for it? And they can quote any number because right now it's not, the rubber is not meeting the road there, right? They're like, I will pay anything. So asking these kind of questions does not make any sense. Rather, speak to the customer about their problems. Speak to them about who they are, what they do, why do they do whatever they do, what are the pain points there, how can we solve some of it. If you were to create a product, what will you create in that kind of things like that. And ask for very specific instances in the past that, has it ever happened to you in that sense. And keep it casual and make it where they start comfortable sharing their experiences. That is where you want to lead the people to. And probably practice all the questions which you're going to ask. Of course, 50 to 60% of it will be impromptu and you have to change the way you are going to ask, but at least have a rough idea of how it will go. So what we are planning to do is we have around 10-12 minutes. So ideally we would have wanted more time, but if there is any volunteer in the class in this session who would want to come up for a question, like I will be the interviewer, I'll try to mimic one and you have to be the interviewee. I'll tell you the case before you raise your hands. The product we are going to talk about is, so suppose I am thinking of creating a product for all the household helpers. So mostly they are females, maids, right? So we all of us, many of us rather have household helps at our homes who may be cleaning stuff or maybe cooking for us or maybe taking care of our kids or taking care of elderly people at the house because these days both husband wives people are working and So we have to resort to this. So it's a reality, but it's very fragmented, that category. So it's like, how do you create an Uber for household helps and provide certain basic necessities and solving the pain points of the people who are employing them. That's the product, which suppose I am an entrepreneur, I'm a product manager, I'm thinking of this product. And I've also come up with a solution that, we will have certain things, but I have to also validate my hypothesis. So but I can't tell you because you are the audience also, but I have written it down. After the class, I'll show you what are the hypotheses I have written. But basically, you can assume what are the hypotheses I have. And if there is anybody who is like the primary owner of the house, not like your mom or your grandmom or your mom-in-law is employing the households, but you yourself are the primary owner. Harneet, I see raising your hand. Somnath, you are based out of where? Out of which part? Which city?
I am based out of Guwahati.
Guwahati. And so tell me about yourself. Where are you? Who all are there in your family?
Sure. So I am an engineer by education, but a business leader or I'll not call myself a leader. Let's say a business manager by profession. With various startups, and especially in business development and business leadership roles. In my family, I have my mom, my dad, and my younger sister.
Okay. And you stay with your parents and together, right? All of you to stay together. And do you have domestic helps at your house?
Yes, we do.
So, like how many and what do they do?
So we have 2 domestic helps. They're not permanent; they're part-time. So one is essentially working on the household chores like cleaning, like grooming, wiping the floor, like sweeping the floor, and washing clothes and utensils. And the other cook is for cooking purpose. The other help is for cooking purpose.
So she comes. So the cooking lady, she comes twice or once?
Once a day.
In the morning or in the?
Yes, in the morning.
Morning. Okay.
Yes.
And is there a specified time for her to come?
Yes, usually she comes between 10:30 to 12 is normally. So it's variable, but usually she tries to come at 11. Yes.
Okay, and is that okay? Like because 10:30 to 12 seems like a big window. Is that okay that she comes anytime between that?
Not always. When it's usually late, it becomes an issue. If it's like 12-ish, it becomes a problem, but those are lesser in number. Usually she tries to ensure that she comes before 11 or at least till 11. Yes.
So in a month, how many times will she be late? Or when you have to, okay, how many times will she be late?
I would say 2 to 3 times.
And what do you do when she's getting late? I'm assuming you wouldn't do, your mom or somebody would be doing, yes. But I'm asking on that behalf. Yeah, sure. What would your mom do when it's late?
And the first thing she does is, of course, she gets irritated a bit. She's again come late today. And the other thing we do, if it's usually like if it's closer to 12, then she'll call her up to see where she is and why is she late.
Mm-hmm. Normally she knows that by 12 she will come. So around 12 or quarter to 12, she will start slightly panicking and then start calling her up, etc. And she won't, okay. What does she cook? Like she cooks everything, whatever you want her to cook?
Yes, mostly.
Okay. And how is her cooking? Like, are you guys okay? Like, because you typically prefer that at home, people say that ghar ka khana hota hai, right? Correct. But if there is an outsider who is cooking, normally when I as a user, I'm saying that at times I miss my, mom's food or, somebody who will make it more like ghar ka khana and like a hotel ka khana. Like, how is her cooking style? And are you guys okay with the food she makes? Or are there any problems with that?
So it's a bit longer. The answer is a bit long. So
long isn't the preparation time is long? No,
my answer is a bit
okay.
more descriptive. So when she initially came in, it's close to being a year now. It was initially very difficult. We did not like the way she cooked the food. The taste was not up to our standards how we liked it. Especially my mom, the way she cooks, obviously. And since my mother is suffering from health-related issues, it was imperative that we had a cook. We have a cook. We didn't want her to cook at all. So initially it was very difficult. But eventually my mom's trained her to be able to cook in a way that we like. And now we are, I would say 80% of the days, we are happy with the cooking. It's very much in line with how we like to eat, according to our taste preferences. Maybe a few days, maybe 20% of the time, it's, again, sometimes you feel like, okay, no, today's food is not good, but it's 80% of the time it's.
When you say it's not good, is it, can you explain more? When you say it's not good, is it like, how do you say it's not good?
So maybe it would come across as I'm a Bengali family. I'm a part of a Bengali family. So we have a bit of sweets and stuff added to like a lot of our dishes. So sometimes it's like she's missed adding a bit of the sweetener part of it, or maybe sometimes it's like the cooking has been done very abruptly or very quickly, which is why maybe the food is not very well cooked, or maybe it could be that the spices have not mixed that properly. So in that sense, it's not perfect. And then what my mom usually does is after she's gone and the cooking's completed, she'll just touch it up and ensure that it's according to our taste and stuff. So,
is there anything which you would want to change in the current setup with the overall arrangement? If there is one thing which you think would have been there, it would have been ideal.
Yes, I mean, I think, and I've told this to my mother, I sometimes feel that she's not maybe that motivated enough to, put in that additional effort. Of course, we are always complimenting her whenever the food is good. We ensure we do that because that ensures that she's even more happy to work. But I've told my mother if increasing the amount that we pay to her would make her more motivated, that is something that I would personally encourage, because we don't have a lot of options in Guwahati in terms of essential Bengali style cooking. And we don't want to lose this opportunity. So, because there is a fear of losing and not maybe finding an appropriate, a suitable replacement. So, yes, in an overall sense, if I would have to maybe rate it, I would say 4 out of 5 in terms of satisfaction. Yes.
All right, Somnath, thank you so much for your time. And ideally, I would have wanted this interview typically goes for half an hour, 40 minutes to actually understand, but I just fast forwarded this and for everybody's understanding now, I'll try to debrief this. So I've tried to, but you can correct me, maybe in the process I would have asked any leading question, but the things which I had in my mind were 3 things, because I have also interviewed a lot of people on this, and also from a personal experience. And the app idea I had in mind was around this. One is timeliness, which you also mentioned in a way that, she comes late. So the product idea was essentially that she will always be on time. The offering which we'll provide, they will always be on time. And if they are not coming, then there will be a notification sent to you a couple of hours in advance that, she's not coming. And we'll also provide you with a replacement that day. So if I had asked this question, you would probably have said, yes. But I wanted to hear it from you. So that idea kind of got validated. Eventually, what would happen in a typical scenario was if I had this prototype ready, I would, after the end of this discussion, I will also show you that what if, and you ask you to use this and not comment and then see how do you react to that. And I'll give you the value proposition. One was that. Then I also had this mind that cooking quality. So, what the offering in my mind is that, we will provide with trained cooks and, people who don't cook on high flame, because typically the complaint is that they cook on high flame, which is not good for health. And they do it because they want to do it fast.
Correct.
And the food also gets cooked fast, but it does not have the taste because, if you cook it on slower flame, it will, the spices will mix well, as you were saying. And, I'm also, by the way, kind of a cook. You can relate with my examples. So the spices also will mix well. The flavor will come out. And, if you cook on full flame, then it won't come out. You also kind of mentioned that. So that also idea kind of got checked. And the motivation you said, so you said that, to keep her motivated, even if you have to pay few bucks extra, you are ready to do that. I also wanted to check that, but without asking you, I could take it out from you that, you are actually ready to pay extra. So suppose if I fulfill all the conditions, you are actually ready to pay extra. I did not ask you, but you said yourself. And training is something you said that your mom actually has trained her? What if we actually provide trained professionals altogether rather than you or people start training? Of course, the nuances will have to be trained. Like some families want more spicy food, somebody want less spicy. So those will be helped, but at least the basic hygiene will be maintained. So that is how I kind of validate. And once I do these discussions with 50 people, 50 such people, you were not the right TG, by the way. Ideally, I will not interview you. I would interview your mom if I were to work on this idea.
Hi everyone, welcome to this masterclass by Shailendra, and I think this has been a great experience. Actually visualizing how interviews are being done by product managers. We will just take a couple of minutes to talk about what PM MasterCamp is at Masters Union and how we have been running it aggressively and beautifully with cohort 1. If you don't believe us, you can just go to LinkedIn. Our cohort 1 is active, and while I and Shailendra are just almost in the same room, we have another session going wherein we are teaching Uber in the multiverse of cabness, wherein we are teaching people how to work on Figma and how to design user journeys and product prototypes and wireframes. So essentially, the cohort 1 is active, the cohort 1 is live, and we are here to start and launch cohort 2, which goes from July 2022. There are details on the website about the masters. We have masters who are into VP, senior product manager profiles across companies like Google, Spinny, Tootsie, Uber, and also from, not just from India, but outside India as well. Essential thing, something that is very different about the way product management is being taught at Masters Union is we don't go with a theory model. I think the basic motto or the basic goal is to help you experience product management. And with all the sessions, with all the weekly modules that we are going to cover, it's going to be a real-time simulation of product management. That is something which we do on a weekly basis across all the 16 modules. Something that also sets us apart from maybe a lot of other product management programs is obviously the placement support that is aggressively done at Masters Union, right? And the one-to-one mentorship to help you build your dynamic and rockstar focused PM resume and your portfolios. That is something which will help you set apart with all the other product managers. So an exclusive program comes only for 50 to 60 students. There would be a proper selection criteria, proper interview that you would go through. But there's one thing for sure: the moment you are into the session, you will, and into the module, you will learn a lot about what core product management is. Because unlike the myths that, hey, I want to become a product manager, would you teach me how to code? Hey, I want to become a product manager, would you teach me how to build beautiful designs? That is not what product management is. Product management is into stakeholder management, into communicating and understanding what your user requirements are and ensuring that you maximize the value of your product. And that is something which we focus aggressively on, so that you become you develop the PM mindset and skill set as a whole. So that's there about PM MasterCamp. You can reach out to us on our email IDs. You can fill the form, and our team will be there to support you at every level of your onboarding process. I would just work on taking the questions which are around the admission part along with Neerja. And if there are any questions around specifics to PM or product management, I think I would request Shailendra to take that up. Is product management next marketing job? There's a difference between product management and marketing. When it comes to product management, most of your time would ideally be around ideation of product. Or now you could be thinking or working on new products, or you could be working on improving the existing product. So that's about ideation or building or revamping part. And you would be working majorly with, let's say, the development team or other stakeholders internally and externally in order to ensure that a product is developed which is aligned with user goals. I'm pretty sure you would have seen that Venn diagram. If you have gone through Google, what is product management? The very first thing that you will see is a Venn diagram between business, users, and tech. And at the intersection of A, B, C is where product management lies, right? Product management is more around these things. Eventually, the next level would be, you would also be working with the marketing team in order to ensure that, hey, how can we launch this product into the market? And, how can we communicate the value proposition in terms of the product positioning statement, so on and so forth. But is product management the next level, the next high level job? Yes. Is product management just the next marketing job? Maybe not. So that's my, that's my answer onto that. Yeah, Dibyendu, as Neeta said, we'll get back to you, for sure. So there are multiple things, Siddharth. See, and I think, I'll just be open around this. Recruitment will happen while you are, in the program. Recruitment will also happen after the closure of the program, right? And that is a post-closure support that we're going to give to each and every one of you, right? So that's there. Ultimately, if I have to talk about it emotionally and passionately, we're not going to give up, until you get a very good job. I think that's one of the key things you can be very sure about. Yes, the main focus is always, around making sure that you get placed, during the program. So it's a program, which is specifically designed for both students and working professionals, around, let's say, upskilling yourself into product management. So no, it is not a residential program. The classes are actively happen over the weekends so that both the students and working professionals could be a part of it. During weekdays, we engage you in multiple activities. You work on Mural, Figma, multiple projects. So, just to name a few projects. So I think the world, or at least we are, going crazy around, blink it in 10 minutes, right? We want something within 10 minutes and it has to be delivered at our doorsteps. What a few of the students are working on is, hey, can Tractor be delivered in 10 minutes? Can we get online consultation within 10 minutes or maybe lesser time if it's an emergency situation, right? So this is something on which you would be working over weekdays with your teams, with multiple teams, simultaneously, and over the weekends we will collectively run through multiple modules: agile product management, PM 101, designing user experiences, customer development, the taste of which we got right now, how to write product strategy, how to create product vision, things about agile, scrum. You don't come from the technical background, don't worry, we will help you understand, hey, what is basically SQL, how does data flow from one step to another, and how to communicate with your technical stakeholders, could be your developers, could be your database administrators, in the best professional and the jargon oriented way, so that you're not left out if you don't come from the technical background.
Ayush, so I'm not here. I have this advantage, so I'll just make use of it and directly ask the question.
Yes.
Sure. So product management is so diverse, it's so versatile, and it varies, as we know, from organization to organization. You have AI/ML PMs, you have PMs focused on so many different aspects, like growth PMs in different organizations, maybe like a startup, like maybe an urban company is looking for an operational driven product manager, whereas in a different company, it could be entirely different. So what is Master Union's focus? What is the curriculum basically focusing on? What kind of product management roles can we expect to maybe break into once we've done this?
Sure. Thank you, Somnath. So my answer is pretty simple. With respect to every PM profile that stays, that is out there: product owner, product manager, product marketing manager, technical product manager, growth product manager, data product manager, and so on and so forth. Few people get into, product design manager also, right? A very few of them. So with whatever profile, that is, those are out there in the market, there is one segment which is common across all the profiles, which we call core product management. Okay, what is core product management? Given that this is your business, these are your users, this is your team, and this is the gap that you have identified in the market, how do you build a product that helps users fill, maybe reduce their pain points, maximize their gains, and overall you build something which is great for, for your users, for your business, for the overall ecosystem, right? That is the core product management. That involves a bit of interaction, or, a bit into designing, a bit into growth, a bit into technical aspects, a bit into Scrum, Agile, and so on and so forth, right? Now, imagine you have to, become an AI-based product manager or a core database product manager. Obviously, that's one level above, on top of that, right? But that's a very niche thing. I mean, you might find very few profiles around that particular, let's say, need. But overall, the basic job of a product manager would essentially remain the same. And I think one of you wrote it very beautifully, on the chat. You are a glue, and your responsibility is to ensure that everyone is, you take everyone together so that all of you work towards the success of your product. That is the basic hard skill, soft skill, and mindset that we will be focusing on for sure. Obviously, we'll be focusing on the nitty-gritties of all these domains, that you touched upon. So in terms of growth, hey, how can you increase the acquisition, the retention, the monetization? That is a problem, that will solve. In terms of technical, product management, hey, how would you communicate your user requirements to the technical team? If your technical team comes back with 1, 2, 3 questions, how would you solve that as a product manager? Are you supposed to code? Are you supposed to do something different? That is also, something that we will be, that we will be telling you. But essentially, the core product management job remains the same. That this is something that you have to do. Okay, and that is something which we'll be focusing on. I hope that helps, Somnath. Yep. Will automation cut down the PM job in future? If that were the scenario, automation has been into the industry for quite a long time, and just go out there, you would be seeing a lot of jobs, being posted on a daily basis into product management. So automation, to some extent can help and will help a lot in terms of understanding the data. People will not have to sort out, a lot of things, manually, but I don't think, at least in the coming decade, automation will be able to replace product managers, because while a lot of you would think that product management is a technical job, it's not. It's purely a behavioral plus technical job, which revolves around understanding your customers, your stakeholders, and working for them, for their success, right? So, that's there. Can we attend the bootcamp if you're not from Gurgaon? Talking about the current cohort, Neeraj, only 15% of the people are from Gurgaon. Rest 85% are from Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and multiple other cities. So that's not a limitation, right? We have also, we're also working on, taking awesome initiatives and helping, people bringing together in Bangalore, in Pune, in Hyderabad, in Gurgaon. So location is not a constraint. As much as you are passionate about learning product management, equally as we are passionate about teaching you product management, I think as long as we both are on the same page, location is not at all a constraint.
There's a question which I can answer on the Q&A, which is around, is that, let's say we get to know 5 pain points after talking to say 3-4 users. How do we decide or prioritize which is the biggest pain point and what could be solved, and what is the sample size, which sample size is good enough? So the answer is that whenever we have, we always have a bunch of ideas and a bunch of pain points to solve, and not just from customer, but also when you are acting as product manager, there will be ideas from business and operation. A lot of people, you yourself are looking into data. You also have a lot of ideas. There are a bunch of frameworks which exist, which actually we discussed yesterday only. So there is Moscow, and there is AARRR, there is Kano model. There are a lot of these frameworks which help you to prioritize the tasks. So it's not that you attempt all of them together. It also depends on the maturity of the product and which is the problem which you're trying to solve. So for example, WhatsApp right now will not be focusing on acquisition. They're more focusing on monetization. Whereas a company like Zepto and Blinkit we were talking, they would be focusing more on acquisition right now, and monetization might be secondary. So depending upon the stage of the organization, you are trying to make one of the themes come on top. Try to solve those pain points first, and then take up the other points later. But there are multiple ways to do it. There are multiple frameworks, and organizations choose one framework to go ahead with. And sample size, in terms of sample size, when you're doing qualitative analysis, as I said, from usability perspective, 5 to 10 are good enough. When you're actually thinking about any new product idea or stuff, when we do 30 to 40 interviews, they are more than enough. I've never done more than 25, 30 interviews for any particular feature or product idea. Those are good enough. But you have to get the sampling right. Like, who are you talking to? If you're talking random 20 people, that doesn't make sense. But if you're talking specifically to the right kind of people, 25, 30 people qualitatively, spending half an hour, 40 minutes, good quality time is more than enough.
I think we are done with all the questions.
There are a few questions in the chat. I think, is this online or physical program?
This is... Yep. So the classes are going to be online, but this is a hybrid program, by the way. What does that mean? That means that, if you are based out of Delhi NCR, you can come to our campus over the weekends and, have conversations with us. If you're based out of Bangalore, and multiple other locations, we are working on, multiple initiatives so that you can collectively work. And, I remember yesterday, 4 or 5 of our students were working collectively in Bangalore, taking the sessions and interacting with us all together. So this is a hybrid program. It's not purely online. And we are, working on opportunities to give you multiple physical interactions as well. So I think that's the answer around this. How many of the what percentage of the intake are freshers? I think almost 10 to 15% of the students are freshers or close to freshers, and when I say close to freshers, I'm talking about people with less than 3 to 4 months of experience. Maybe they are working as software or system engineer in companies like Infosys, TCS, and so on and so forth, or they are working into the junior BD profiles, and and they know about what sales and marketing is, they know about what product they market, but now they're passionate to build the same with the development team, right? So you have fair chance if you are a fresher. I'll also answer one question. Around 10 to 15% of the batch, maybe even more, is not from the technical background, and they are doing awesome in terms of learning product management concepts. So even if you're not from the technical background, you are not an experienced professional, this program is catering to each and every one of you, and I'll repeat my point: as long as you want to learn, we are here to teach. Yeah, it will help. We have people. I'm not so sure if we have one of the trainers from Visakhapatnam, not really any student, but I think we have people from Bhubaneswar, multiple other locations. So location, as I said, it's not a constraint, man. Right? Feel free to talk to us, talk to our careers team, and we'll walk you through multiple awesome things that that you're going to be provided with as a part of this program. So don't worry about constraint. Don't worry about location as a constraint. Yes, there are scholarships, and I think the careers team will be able to help you in terms of that particular thing. But yeah, don't worry about that particular aspect as well.
Absolutely. I think we have addressed all the questions. Thanks a ton, Shailendra. Thank you, Ayush. And thanks, Somnath, for being such a great volunteer. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm sure this entire session had a lot of takeaways for all of you. And if in case you're having an inclination, proclivity towards solving the user experiences, then of course, I think you should definitely consider a career in product management. And like these veterans sitting over here, Ayush, Shailendra, are there to help you out in the process. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.